Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get on into Module 3 here. So we have 5 different sections here in Module 3. First one being our Data Schema.
Data administration. So we get to learn about the whole
table structure, how tables extend, where we were talking about how task extends out to incident. We'll talk about tables extending.
Cool.
Very cool. Right now we're going to get into exactly that, our database structure.
Okay.
System definitions of our tables, our relationships, and into the schema map, which I think is pretty cool. The schema map is the graphical representation of how the tables relate to each other.
Oh, sounds cool.
All right, so ServiceNow is a database with our UI built on top. We spent some time looking at the UI, right? That was the banner frame, the content, and the application navigator. So that behind that is where we have our database. And I'm going to take this slide, the notes there, backwards.
Okay.
We talked about our fields, right? Those are the individual fields on a form or the columns on a list view.
Like category, subcategory, caller, and those things? Okay.
Those fields make up a record, right? So one incident, one user.
So like incident number 23 would be a record.
A record.
Or Joe employee would be a record.
A record.
Okay.
Taking that next step up from records, we get to the table, so incident or user in those examples. Bringing all those tables together is where we get to the database and how those tables relate, because we have referenced fields, which allow us to dot walk.
Yep, absolutely.
So how those tables relate, the tables themselves and the relationships being our database.
So the database is really just a collection of tables?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's our record hierarchy here, right? So we have the fields, which we can access either through the form or the list view. So here we see incident number 00049 is one record. And we see that also highlighted down below in the list view. So we have the field and the records.
Got it.
Table being a collection of those records. So here we're looking at the user table. And we have the different records here for Abel, for Adela, Eileen, right? So these different user records are making up the user table. Remember the user table name?
Sys_user?
Sys_user.
And that's the system name, whereas this is the friendly
label.
Okay, got it. Which we could change, right?
We can change the label.
But we can't change the system name.
We're not changing the system name. No.
Okay.
So we have records that make up the table. Records have fields on them. Individual fields have different field attributes. Right? Is it a date field? Is it just an open string field? Is it a reference field? So we have different attributes that help to define those fields.
So essentially that's back to the type, right? The type of
exactly,
field.
the type of field.
Earlier, yeah.
So yeah, and then we're looking at field name and field label as well. So we have the friendly and then the actual field name. And then the value, right? That's the piece of information that's in there, the actual data.
Sure.
So how we can interact with these tables on our platform to look at some of the table properties. We can go ahead and just type in tables in our application navigator, and we get to tables, a table of all of our tables.
So ServiceNow is just really a bunch of tables.
A bunch of tables put together, absolutely. And so here we're seeing label, name, if we extend from another table. So when we extend from another table, we're bringing in the fields that already exist.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little more about that as we get going here.
Is that right? Over 2,000 tables in a baseline?
Yes, over 2,000 tables.
Goodness. That's a lot of tables. And I suppose that'll be different depending on applications installed and whatnot.
The different applications that you bring in are going to bring in other tables. You could have custom tables that are built just on that instance. So yes, absolutely, that number will vary, but we're looking at a baseline here with 23, almost 2,400 tables.
So it looks like ServiceNow is actually a very mature platform baseline, right?
Yes.
So as soon as you get it, it looks like it's pretty built out.
Absolutely, pretty well built out and can usable from day one.
Excellent.
And then very configurable for you as well.
So you can just configure it to meet your needs.
To do anything you want it to.
Oh, that's great.
Another way that we have of interacting with our tables, because this is a nice view if we're looking at our tables. We're just looking for a specific table. We want to see what it extends from. We can get into the table record. We want a little more information. We can go to tables and columns, where we select our table over on the left side, and then in the middle we have our columns listed, our fields, right? And then if we select one of those fields, we see the column attributes over to the right.
Okay, so on the left we see the table name, we see the label, and then in the square brackets that's the
system name.
Okay, those two things there. And then once we select one, then we get the columns.
In the middle. And then column being fields, right?
Fields, right. So then if we select one of those fields like category, or in this case it's, I guess, CMDBCI, then we get the attributes of that field. So like whether it's read-only or...
Absolutely. There's many other attributes in
Okay,
here.
great.
Yeah, max length for the one that we're looking at right now, 65,000 characters. Tables and columns. We'll get to the schema. We mentioned that, but we'll get to that in a minute. We see the schema map button here, which is where we can go ahead and get to it.
Okay.
But relationships, right? The schema is talking about relationships. We can have a one-to-many, which is a nice example here of request to requested item. So we can have someone that puts in a request, and on that request we have multiple requested items. So we have one REQ record related to many requested item RITM records.
So I might have like a request, and in that request my items might be like a laptop and an external monitor. Would that be?
Absolutely could be.
Okay.
We both want new phones. You want an Android. I want an Android. You want an iPhone.
I think you got that backwards.
So that one request could get us both our new phones.
Okay, gotcha.
Many to many. We were looking yesterday how users can be member of multiple groups and can inherit multiple roles from those groups.
Sure.
So a great example here where we have one user. We were looking at the ITIL user, had a couple of different groups that she was a member of, inheriting many different roles from those other groups. So many to many on 3 different tables there: users, groups, and roles.
Sure.
Database views, we have a virtual join of tables so that we can do things like running reports on. I like this example that we have here. Our CMDB CIs, our configuration items, and their uptime metrics. So we can combine those virtually and run reports off them, which is a great and powerful thing we can do there.
Didn't we talk about views yesterday? Is that the same thing?
Not the same thing.
Oh.
We were talking about different views of a table. Oh. So this is a database view where we're bringing in multiple tables.
Oh, and virtually joining them together.
Virtually joining.
Oh, okay. So it's different than like a list view or a form view.
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know.
Virtually joining our virtual tables.
Okay. For reporting, like you said.
For reporting.
Yep,
yeah,
got it.
Exactly. Extensions. So this is where we get to borrow functionality that's already built in. Task and incident is a great example here. Task is the parent table, and we extend from task to incident. It means we bring all the fields that are built on task assigned to, right? Because we were talking about task type records, all can be assigned to an individual for work. So that assigned to field on task, we can then, when we extend from task to incident, we can go ahead and bring in that field and any functionality built into that field.
And so essentially reusing
it without recreating
without
it
having
again.
do it again. Oh, that's great.
And the
I see a lot of that, it seems like, in ServiceNow.
Absolutely.
It's kind of brilliant the way it's...
Build it once, use it again.
That's great.
And again and again. And the functionality built into those fields too. So we haven't talked about business rules yet or workflows, but if we have something built on the parent table, we inherit that functionality down to the child table as well.
When we extend.
Okay,
so a couple advantages, big advantages it sounds like, of extending. Okay.
And when we extend, we can also go ahead and then put specific fields on the child table. So here we're looking at
fields that aren't on the parent. I gotcha.
Specific to the process that we're running. So here, incident, we have caller, and we add caller into the incident table.
Well, that's why I was about to ask you, why not just have one table? But that kind of answers my question. So it's like a subcategorization.
And
I can add more stuff. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So and then we talk about them as task type tables, as a family of tables extending from task. On the other side, we also have CMDB. And we'll take a look at that. Task is things that we can assign. CMDB, configuration items, the items themselves, computers, servers, things of that sort. So then we have the parent class. So we have 2 big types of our parent class, task and the CMDB. Base tables. So if a table has no parent table,
it stands alone by itself.
Well, not necessarily. It can extend out. Like we can extend from it
Oh, so it can be extended.
It can be a parent.
Okay.
But it is not a child.
Got it.
So when we talk about extending tables, we do use the parent and child words as well.
Well, just kind of like what you see on the screen there. On the left there's a big X saying there is no parent to task. Okay. So that makes it a base table? Oh, okay.
A base table. We also talk about core tables. Core tables just being in our core instance.
In the baseline ServiceNow instance.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Kind of like, incident, problem, chain.
Exactly.
User table, groups. All those 2,000 we just looked at.
Yes, all those 2,000 we just looked at.
Sure.
And so base tables are core tables. Core tables are not necessarily base tables.
Sure. Like incident would be an example, right?
Yes.
Because incident is
incident, problem, change request.
Core table, but it's not a base
table.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that makes sense.
And we also can have custom tables. So these are, different custom tables that we can go ahead and put in here, and we create them for very specific organizational needs. Team birthdays, holiday party. Oh, we were talking about what's an event. So here we have a custom table for that holiday party.
Perfect. So custom table is just essentially one that
we've created ourselves.
Got it.
Then here we're looking at core versus custom.
Or I suppose custom could be also one that we bought maybe from the store. Would that be also a custom?
Yes.
Okay.
Bought from the store is another good example too. So here we got our schema map, and I will definitely get into this live. I love the graphical representation of our tables. We see 4 different relationship types referencing. So that's just the fact that, we're referencing out to a different table. We're borrowing a field that way, a reference field. But we have extended and extending. So it'll actually show the hierarchy of that family of tables from the base table extending out. So, task to incident.
So visually how they relate to one another.
And what the different colors are corresponding to. Extended, extending.
Okay. Can I do any modification on here?
No. This is just a representation of, if we want to edit the tables.
That's what I meant.
We'll go to tables or tables and columns.
Okay, gotcha. So this is purely visual to be able to...
Yes, absolutely.
Graphical.
Just
Gotcha.
Representation of how everything's related.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go ahead and get into my instance here. Same instance, same lab instance that I've been working in. And I'm going to go to tables. System definition, tables, tables, and columns. Those were the first 2 we were talking about.
Sure.
So we have our table of tables. We can see if it extends from a table. So we were just talking about how tables extend. So we see right here, consumable extends from asset. Asset being up here.
Which is not extended because it has nothing in that field.
Right. It doesn't extend from anything, so that means that asset is a base table?
Okay.
Yes, a base table.
I'm getting it.
So another example there. All the fields that are on asset will be on consumable if we want to bring them in.
So they're available, but I don't have to.
Exactly.
Use them. Okay.
And just real quick, we'll look at the record for the asset, but then I'm going to jump over to tables and columns and start looking at fields. So here we have our record for the asset table. We have the different columns on it, right? So our different fields, their type of fields. Not all the attributes that we were seeing over in tables and columns, so we can see a bit more. Oh, yeah, and you said you had heard about the delete all records.
Yes.
Yes, we can delete all records. Handy when we're down in a dev or a test environment and we're running through some testing process.
To quickly get rid of dummy data or something.
Exactly like that. And like I mentioned, it's not just a click and a click. You'd have to type the word delete in. So there's a little more control to it.
Okay.
All right, so no records deleted. Good. I'm happy. So yeah, our different fields down here. But I'm going to jump over to tables and columns now.
I've heard delete is kind of a dirty word in ServiceNow. We typically don't want to delete anything. Even though it looks like we make it very easy to delete, because you see delete buttons everywhere.
We'd rather set them as inactive.
Yeah.
And especially when we talk about if we add in some of these additional plugins or these other applications where we're creating new tables and creating the relationships, we're never going to be deleting those. We could stop using them, but if we were to delete them, we'd leave a hole in the database.
Don't delete unless you Like maybe typoed something or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
Deleting records from a table, you're doing some testing, demo data like you were saying.
Sure. Then it's probably fine.
But deleting tables themselves?
Not a good idea.
No, we don't want to do that. All right, so here we're on our tables and columns. And we can just select one. We get our column, our fields here in the middle. And we go ahead and click here, and we get the attributes for that column that we were looking at.
Field or column, yeah.
And so I had mentioned that there were more than one hardware tables by label, right?
Oh, so I just noticed you were typing there. You can just type to get to
that was me typing to get to. Also down below we can go ahead and say what table name we want to go to.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to scroll through that big list
No,
of
don't
2,000.
have to scroll through all that.
Oh, that's nice.
So here we're looking at hardware and hardware. That's why you're going to want to know the actual system name.
You said that earlier that there were two hardwares. Mm-hmm. So they both have the same label.
Right.
But they're
different system names.
Okay,
so
got it.
Good to know what table you're actually looking at here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our task table. We've been talking about task. Again, task. Which task do I want to go to? The one that has the actual system name of task.
Okay.
So then we get all the fields on task, active, actual start, additional comments, right? That's the forward-facing, that's the customer-facing comments.
That's a lot of fields.
Yes, we have a lot of fields on task. And then, so I selected that additional comments, right? So max length 40, plural created, right? So our different attributes for that field.
Okay.
Again, delete all records.
We
can edit the table, so this would just open up this table in that record form like we were looking at just a second ago when we went to tables and then opened up asset.
Oh, okay, so it just takes us back.
Over there. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the schema. This will open up into a new tab. So I'm going to go ahead and just, for simplify here, I'm going to remove the referenced and referencing tables.
Okay. The red and the yellow.
The red and the yellow. So now we're looking just at the extension. Reference and referencing, that's just on that table, it has a reference field back over to task, or task has a reference field to whichever table was listed. Right now we're talking about base and core and extending, so that's where we're going to focus here.
Okay.
So task extends out to a great many other tables.
So all of those tables are extending?
All of these on the left that are in blue extend from task.
Wow.
And there's task right there finally.
Okay. Got it.
Again, nothing over to the right.
Because task is a base?
Base table.
Okay, yep.
So here we see we extend out to, you can count them if you want to. I'm going to look for incidents because that's what we've been focusing on. There we go. There's incident. It was all the way back up at the top.
I got up to 20-some. That's right. I lost track. I'm sure we could see that if we went to the tables.
To the tables we could.
And say what's extended.
And we can start to filter
do the
on
show
that
matching,
list.
I bet.
Show matching.
Yeah.
Start
See,
to
I'm
build
starting
out
to
that
learn.
condition.
Starting to learn.
Start to build out that condition,
Sure.
and it would give us a count. In the schema, we can redraw. So right-click, focus on this table.
Okay.
So redrawing. So we're now focused on incident.
Okay.
And we see that it's extended from task.
Okay.
Also, it's nice about, and much simpler than looking with the 20 different tables.
Yeah, that was confusing.
But incident doesn't extend to anything. We can't extend from incident. But I like this view, telling us exactly what columns are on task. Mm-hmm. Notice that this is the exact same list. Active, activity due.
Right, because it's extended.
Task columns.
Yep. Okay.
And then what columns are added specifically onto incident.
Oh, okay. So earlier I was saying, wow, incident has a lot of fields on it, but it actually doesn't. It's because it's extended.
Task has a lot of fields.
I'm seeing all of the. Oh, okay. Now I get it.
So there we go. The task extending to incident, all the fields from task, and then specific to incident.
So it looks like I have a bit of homework outside of this class if I want to understand the tables that are of interest to me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Tables that are going to be of interest to you specifically, your organization where you're spinning up, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, I don't have to memorize all 2,000. No. Just the ones that I'm interested in.
The ones that you're going to need to be working with.
Okay.
So good example here with task and incident, because we've been talking about those, and it's fairly simple where we have task directly to incident and there's nothing on either side. We're going to go a little bit more complicated here. I'm going to jump back over to the hardware side. Hardware and into the CMDB. CMDB is our next section. Task, things that can be assigned for work. CMDB is where we're storing computers, servers, services, and their attributes and their relationships.
Okay.
So right now we're just going to take a look at a schema map that's a little bit bigger than incident. Okay, so again, just going to go ahead and remove referenced and referencing, simplify this a little bit here.
Just to kind of clear it up.
To clear it up so we can
So we're just seeing the extended and extending.
Exactly.
Okay.
So here we're looking at hardware. That's where we were focused,
Okay.
right? Well, it has a parent and grandparent, if you will.
Okay. That would be the base table.
This is now the base table that I'm hovering over right here.
Sure.
And it even says base configuration item.
There you go.
So same idea where we have the columns on this table, and then we add columns, and then again we have 3 here now, right? Because we have parent and grandparent. So we're adding these fields, adding these columns every time we step out.
But they're both of the parent and grandparent are available to the child hardware.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And next step out if we want to.
Oh my.
So we have 4 now.
Jeez.
And so we get into the CMDB. There's a great many tables in here and their relationships. So just wanted to bring in a little bit more of a extensive example than just incident and task that we were looking at.
Is there a limit to the level of extending?
No, there's not.
No? Okay. There's probably best practice so that you wouldn't want to go to like a dozen or something,
yes.
I would imagine.
Yes.
For performance reasons?
Exactly. We wouldn't want to extend out to that many. And,
sure.
And if I need to, I'm going to probably take a step back and evaluate why I want to.
Absolutely. I mean, is there really a need to make that level of subcategorization?
Exactly.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I've heard that before with ServiceNow.
Just because you can. Any other questions right now?
No, that's really cool.
I really like the schema showing everything out, the different columns as it breaks down.
But it does look like I have some homework.
You do. We'll talk about the schema a little bit more, but yeah, your specific tables that you're going to be needing to get into, that's going to be up to you.
Okay, sounds good.
So, what we're going to do, we're actually going to get in our lab and we're going to explore the schema map, table relations, but we are going to be creating a new table.
Okay.
So that'll be nice practice.
Nice. So I'm creating my own table. Okay, good.
So it'll be a custom table.
Sure.
Okay, so that was section 3.1, the database structure, the hierarchy, how we extend tables, the definition of tables where we can get in and change their different attributes, look at their attributes with tables and columns, go ahead and get into the record of the table and edit some of those columns. The relationships mapping on a schema map, which the schema map was great.
That was good. I didn't quite understand, that ServiceNow is really just a relational database.
That's exactly what it is.
And now it really makes a lot more sense.
Seeing that graphical representation.
Yeah, that graphical really helps, that schema map, definitely.
Any questions there?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, then we're going to get into this next lab, 3.1.
Okay.
Going to create a table.
Okay.
Configure the view for it. And we're creating our own custom table here in this lab.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Okay, so how was the lab, Sandy?
That was a great lab. Being able to create my own infinity table by extending the hardware table. I like that extending too because you get all of the fields, right? You bring all of those fields. But I noticed you can still create your own, which we did in the lab, to track stuff that's unique.
Unique for infinity.
Sure, absolutely. No, that was a great lab. I probably want to take a look at that one again, though. But
absolutely, and the structure in that lab is perfect for any custom table that you're going to want to build. Right, you're going to find a table that's you extend from if you want to. You don't have to extend from a table. You can create a standalone table. But yeah, the structure of that lab it's perfect for creating any table.
Yeah, not only a table too. Now I know how to create an application and a module.
Yes,
I even know because now I can click on that little pencil. I could change the names of applications and modules if I don't like them.
Absolutely.
Wow, there was a lot of stuff going on in that lab.
Changing the label.
Right, changing the label. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, you can't change the system name, but the application name I could change or the module name. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That was great. Thanks, Micah.
Wonderful. Thank you.